I am Kevin Manus Pinnings, also known as Cracked Palantir. I am your host and game master for tonight of this episode 42 of Brise's Tale. And as always, my good buddy Max is here to play Brise the Paladin. Say hello to these lovely people.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Hey Kevin, what episode are we on? Sorry, 42. That's right.
That's right. It's the Douglas Adams episode.
Douglas Adams. We're gonna just make Hitchhiker's Guide memes all throughout the episode.
That's right.
So if you haven't watched it, watch it now instead of watching the stream. No, just well, welcome everybody. It's a fine Wednesday and ready for some more Karandrin.
That's right. And the big issue on the table, to remind everybody, is whether or not Brise should attempt to teleport to the prison, the volcanic prison of the demon Kralum. And if you're just beginning watching the stream, then
you poor soul.
You're in for a long story, and you should just go back and watch the others. But essentially, there's a sorceress named Verilag. She has imprisoned and siphoned the power off of the demon Kralum. And Kralum is a gigantic and powerful demon chained above the mouth of an active volcano. And she herself was imprisoned. Brise accidentally opened a crack in that magical prison, and she is trying to throw that crack wide and resume her place as one of the great powers in the world. One of the ways to stop that is to free Kralum himself or for Brise to die.
One of those is easier than the other.
So one of the few ways that we can try to stop Kralum, as we said, is to free Kralum. So to do that, we have to get to his prison. We know the prison is heavily guarded magically. We also know that it's heavily concealed despite being a volcano. We really are talking about very high-level stuff going on here. Brise, in a vision through Kralum's eyes, saw the mouth of the volcano, the rim around it, and so on, which means there's a chance that she could teleport there by concentrating on that vision. It serves, you can teleport to someplace you can see, you can teleport to someplace that you've already been and you can remember carefully. So this counts as, we hope, sort of a place she has seen now. And it's possible, if it's within range of her magic, Brise could teleport there and at least begin gathering information on the nature of the prison and the giant shackles that hold this demon suspended above the lava. But it's also possible that the defenses, magical and otherwise, around the volcano will read Brise as an intruder and extinguish her. Which admittedly would be a win for the world, but not a win for Brise.
No.
Sorry, I'm gonna get myself a little more centered, but emotionally. Oh. So we have a lot of big questions going on. Mm-hmm. Where we left off last was that Kralum, who now just acts through small animals that he possesses, has given a recommendation that no, this is it's just far too dangerous. And of course, he knows that with Brise's death, any chance of his escape ends. Mm-hmm. But now we've had a day go by. We've had a conversation with Kralum, and now Kralum and Brise are going to go talk to the elderly wizard who is assisting them. and see if with his added knowledge, can they come up with a plan that will accelerate, will improve Brise's success in getting there, and thereby accelerate Kralum's release.
Indeed.
So,
Indeed.
we did a little playing just before the stream just to get her ready for the day, and Kralum has shown up. Brise is dressed and ready. And now I'm going to turn it over to Max and quit talking.
All right. I do want to say I really like that, how you described, Verilag, my interaction with. I opened up a crack and she's trying to throw the crack wide. Like, that's a pretty good analogy. I think I'll use that from now on.
Yeah.
But so Kralum's here in the form of a little mouse, I assume. And last I remember, I would just try to, put him in my pocket and let's go find Berla and see if I can hint that I need a very important meeting is about to occur.
You find Burlow, the butler, a long-serving butler for Adabir, and ask about a meeting, as quickly as possible. He says, sort of uneasily, and he sort of glances around and leans in, and he says, he has a visitor presently who came very early this morning. Apparently, there's been a suspicious death of one of the maids who works here.
Interesting.
What's that?
Which we know is probably referring to the other maid, right? I can't remember her name. The maid who probably betrayed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could confirm that just saying, yes, I heard the one who fell down the stairs. Right. Very strange indeed.
Well, it's not as though all these passageways are brightly lit, and I suppose it doesn't matter to the goblins, but if they kept better house, then such accidents wouldn't happen. But I will come get you as soon as he is free. Kralum whispers to you as you walk to, I guess, you're going to go wait in a parlor.
Yeah.
And he says, if I didn't think it would have drawn more suspicion, I would have killed the other two spies.
Okay. Well, that's good information. I'll, obviously I can't say anything unless there's anyone around.
So you find yourself in a parlor. You ask for tea or some such appropriate morning drink and just
have some cheese.
And some cheese, some ginger tea.
Stuff.
And you sort of just pass the time. It is not very long before Burlow has tracked you down, less than an hour.
Right.
He says he's eager to see you.
Okay.
He escorts you up there. And he stops you at Adabir's door and says, just a word of warning. the decision is from the castellan of the castle here that we will have an additional guard on every floor.
Okay.
But of course, it has nothing really to do with security. It's no doubt to replace a missing set of eyes and ears.
Yeah. When he says additional guard, have there been guards here?
There are guards outside your door,
Right.
outside the back entrance and the front entrance, just to make sure that
Right.
no one unauthorized comes into guest quarters.
Right. But now they want guards stationed on each floor.
Right,
Inside.
interior. So that means one guard. So it's gonna be 3 additional guards, and it's 3 guards now inside.
Yeah.
You feel Crowlum squirm at the news.
And guards to escort people safely down the stairs. How considerate of Lady Miragirl.
How unfortunate for the guards, right?
Oh my gosh.
Like you start wearing like long dresses that have real like they have like a real slippery, silky trains to them. Like I don't know, that's the 9th one who's fallen. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Get some anti slip stuff on these stairs. You can get OSHA on you. But so you're allowed in, and the you can tell that he's already a little weary from this meeting. There are servants moving chairs around and so on. They're bringing him in from his adjoining study, and he is retiring back to his bed, and they are moving the chairs in an arc around his bed.
Okay.
So 5 chairs. And there's a stool right sort of almost at the foot of his bed. Not on that around that side, but near you guys. And eventually all of the apprentices trickle in. Okay. Hey, Arpin. It's an early stop in for you, buddy. I'm glad you're here.
Welcome. Excuse me.
So Tagrev, Doshrik, I should call up my NPC database.
I forget the goblin lady.
Yeah, I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Batherin?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, and the 4th is Furl.
Really?
I believe so. Let me see.
I don't remember there being a 4th apprentice.
Well, I know there was a. Do you remember there was a redhead who teleported you here?
That was Tegrev.
That was Tegrev.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I lost the fact that he was redheaded.
He used magic just to change it to another color.
He's not going to get caught. Oh, there it is.
He didn't like the ginger tea.
That's what it is.
How do you spell Furl? F-U-R-L?
Well, interesting. I wonder where this guy is from then. So maybe I have it incorrect. Do you remember Furl of the Red Valley?
Oh, Red Valley. That sounds familiar. F-E-R-L.
Yes.
Huge person walks in wearing a veil, heavy robes, has a strange voice, and a chronic injury. No, that was the potion guy. That was he was an assistant for the potions,
downstairs in the, but here in
Yeah.
the keep.
Yeah, in the keep. Yeah.
Okay, my bad. So I had him
And-
listed as an apprentice, but he is an apprentice, but he's an apprentice over there.
Right. Okay. He's an apprentice potion master. Yeah. I was
Right.
showing him different potion, stuff. So
Right.
Let
Let me put him under Miagral then. Sorry.
He just
4
walks
chairs.
in like, no. It's like, excuse me? This is the wrong meeting.
He's hiring more and more people. Of course, he is going to have to hire somebody.
Yeah.
I'm
glad I took down all those notes. Their powers combined.
So everyone has brought parchment, ink, quill, and little tables are set up. I mean, people are bringing furniture in. And, you, of course, are naturally worried because this is a big show and, but it doesn't matter, right? This is what it is.
And here's an interesting point. I didn't think that the apprentices would sit in, because now they'll also, I mean, I guess it's all right. It's just like Barilag. It's just another bit of knowledge that needs to be released, to the public so that they can work with it. So, yeah.
So they all file in, they all take their seats. You sort of sit, you take your seat first, and as they stream in, and then Adabir, once the door is closed, all of the apprentices are worried, like glancing at each other. Obviously, like, this is a big meeting.
Yeah.
Could we be doing big meetings? And Adabir simply, reading the room says, there's nothing that can be done. We are going to have to be able to meet when we need to meet. And the only thing that really matters is that we leave here speaking of youth, speaking of helping crops, speaking of things that Miagral expects us to be speaking of.
Right.
So where is, my dear Brise, where is Kralum?
Yeah, I'll take him out of my pocket and just present him, and he can do what he wants, I guess.
Adabir stands and looks at all of you to follow him. And he reaches out and takes the rat from you. He puts a very fine cushion on top of the stool, and he sets the rat on top of it. And he bows to the rat. And he glances at all of you. And everyone follows suit.
I guess I shall too. I don't really have a choice.
Well, you do. It's just a very awkward social choice.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
And he says, "My lord, Lord of ice and crystal, welcome to my humble quarters. I hope we can find a productive means of your release." And he rises very unsteadily. Burlow is still in the room, helps him straighten. And he says, "If you will pardon me, my age requires me to lie." And helps him back into bed. And and Kralum certainly, you can tell just from his little rat posture, it is straighter. It is, in a weirdly way, regal. And he says, "It has been a long time since I have been paid my due." And essentially what follows is very high level discussions.
Yeah.
So what we're going to have you do is roll through and see how much you can glean.
All right. It's like listening to a lecture on advanced mathematics.
Right. You get little bits here and there.
So do first roll or?
So I'm trying to think of categorically. Let's start with not necessarily the conversation goes in this order, but let's just proceed.
Okay.
Let's go with discussions of the shackles.
All right. 86.
So there's a considerable discussion about the markings on the runes. Burlow actually provides Kralum an ink pot and parchment, and he dips his paw in and he begins drawing the runes that he can see.
Okay. Quinn just joined for you, buddy. This is the meeting with Kralum, Adabir, and the apprentices. We are all we're having a powwow. We're having a meeting to see what can be done about the situation.
So here is clearly Adabir's strength.
Mm-hmm.
The apprentices have tons of questions. He answers them before Kralum does most of the time, until he can't, and then Kralum will offer what answers he can. But he wasn't aware that such magic existed in this world, or he would have taken greater precautions. But so what you glean from it is that however wonderful the metallurgy of the dwarves of that era, Mithril would not even be capable of restraining Kralum. And that clearly some of the runes strengthen the manacles materially to prevent breakage. That if they were just, foot thick mithril manacles, they would be of no hindrance for Kralum to tear free.
Wow.
Let's do that.
I would like to, as the discussion's going on, because with Tegrov in mind, especially, kind of looking at the apprentices and can I sense that same? Are any of them a little too curious, about like Kralum's power, or them kind of overstepping their bounds, maybe as the conversation goes on, just look on.
You want to observe if that's the case.
Yes, like if I'm not understanding something, I might as well just kind of try to look at their faces and try to get that.
Roll for me.
48.
Difficult to tell whether anyone has unhealthy interest based on the questions they're asking.
Yeah.
You do glean. I should say glean. Dadgummit, I'm just totally lost. Where am I? There it is. Where is her? Oh, I don't have them written down. So Tagrov's expertise also seems to be related to runes and scrolls. Doshrik seems to have experience with elemental magic, as well as that is, fire, earth, water, as well as some things in terms of crossing to different worlds and travel magics. Batherin remains a mystery. Her questions are not pointed enough to seem to give you any insight.
Yeah. A realm of study that she's kind of coming from.
Right. Everyone concurs that the runes, particularly on his giant foreclaws, he's scorpion-like, right? He's spider-like with a scorpion tail, but he has the huge foreclaws. And there, on those manacles, there are clearly runes that are an older form of the runes of banishment, suggesting that the runes are going to make doubly sure that if he breaks free, he is thrown back to his realm, as opposed to being allowed to wreak havoc on the world at large.
Right.
It does come up how it is that he was lured to the volcano when it is such a hostile environment. And that is that Verilag had lured him there under the auspices of teaching her how to get the volcano to erupt upon command. Because she intended to use it as a trap for the dwarven king that ultimately trapped her. But basically to lure his armies into this valley and then unleash the volcano. The manacles then leapt forth when he was at the brim of the volcano, and they were going to practice the incantation together. He was teaching her. And it was a spell of such great power, and the promise of all of those souls as a sacrifice to him was worth the risk. So he, as we've said, demons of his power simply cannot just walk into another world. It is against nature, and the forces that just exist naturally in the cosmos will try to hurl him back, and he has to spend a great deal of energy just to stay here.
Right.
But the spell itself is so large to affect something the size of a volcano, he had to be here. He couldn't do it through, an emissary or through a portal simply from his realm. And so he made a brief appearance and then was captured.
Wow, interesting.
One stage of attack that is mentioned is if we can simply attack the runes that reinforce the physical strength of the shackles,
right,
he could tear himself free.
Right.
So that is one topic that is discussed. Roll again for me as the conversation goes on.
52. This is really interesting. I'm just like, wow.
So the next regards the actual defenses and his own attempts to free himself in the first 100 or so years, where he tried every trick he could think of. But she was quite right to put him in the volcano because he has to spend the vast majority of his energy just not being incinerated by the volcano, being a demon of ice.
Right.
So he attempted to summon, at great cost to himself, some of his great lieutenants. Beings, he says, that, would slay dragons as easily as you slay flies. But as she had immediate access to my power, it was more than enough for her to quickly set defenses in place to so that those defenses could slay even the greatest of his lieutenants.
Wow.
All
my friends fall before me.
That said, he says, you should be aware then that the bones of my lieutenants lie in the various valleys around this place.
Oh, wow.
And they will have unnatural effects for many thousands of feet around. It was an area of oversight from her.
Yeah.
Because such great power lay in those bones that great wizards came, male and female, from all around to harvest the bones themselves. And it was then that I discovered my ability to communicate through the minds of others, no matter how distant on this world, was sharply curtailed. And I could reach none of them. But even now, you should know the unnatural effects linger in these areas, and it would not be healthy for your kind to venture near for very long. Which, of course, brings to mind the soul shear.
Yeah.
Just the unnatural, terrifying effect of a demonic presence.
I have a question of my own. Would it seem, uncouth for me to interject? It would change the subject. The question I want to ask is, how is he able to take this form? If you couldn't, yeah, like how are you able to present the form you are now? It's like you have that power, but not other powers. So I don't know if there's a good time to bring that up or not.
Because you have cracked the door of her prison, and therefore cracked the door of my prison.
Oh, interesting.
The majority of my power is being used to stay alive. A moderate fragment of it goes to her. But that crack in her prison allows me this tiny bit of influence.
Interesting.
And I can sense, though less clearly, as we have discussed, I can sense your presence in the world within some hundreds of feet. I can't sense where a great power lies that I might ally myself with. Otherwise, I would have tried.
Right.
Um, Tagrov suggests a very complex question that suggests he also has very advanced knowledge of demons.
Mm.
The long and short of the question is, among us, do we have any arts that would allow Kralum greater power in this form?
Mm.
Adabir Jeez. Adabir makes a huge mistake. And says, it's unlikely to work, and any such attempt would immediately be noticed by Verilag. Roll for me.
Yeah. You see that, 65. Now he's giving Tegra a great idea.
And clearly the look on Adabir's face realizes he's just put his foot in his mouth. And quickly turns to his notes to hide it. And, scribbles things down. You glance over at Tegrov.
He does okay. All right.
Tegrov just takes it in stride. No real change in expression.
Wow, man.
And for anyone who is missed out or forgotten, Tegrov is interested in. We gleaned he's interested in making a deal with Verilag and betraying everyone else in this room.
Yeah.
So that he can have a mentor of Verilag's power, and therefore learn who knows what forbidden arts and what rare arts. Discussion. So the discussion continues about defenses. He has very little power to do anything. He was initially able to contact his realm, and that power was taken from him when she gained the majority of his power. Then she was able to put up further and further barriers such that that was no longer possible. Everyone begins a discussion all at once about those magics are not known here. An ability to prevent telepathic summons or communications and that sort of thing. And he says, you have had, few scholars who have learned the ways, but I draw on the knowledge of 100 worlds.
Yeah.
And she now possesses much of that knowledge. That said, those enchantments in particular are easy to interfere with. But it does no good to interfere with them if the help is destroyed immediately upon arrival.
Right.
But you can see, you sort of get now, like how these guys operate in a sense, like what
Yeah.
drives them.
Yeah.
You watch their faces change at this idea of a new, completely unknown magic,
Hmm.
and how excited they are about, wow, that would be so amazing to be able to do that, learn how that spell
Right.
works, And
Right.
you're like, oh, all right. No, I get it. It's like, it's like when I come across a really nice spear,
Yeah.
or when I find a nice map that's going to lead me to an exciting adventure. You
Right.
know, um, they really are. They really are fascinated by the stuff, not just for the sake of its power, but for how it works.
Right.
Um,
Hmm.
so I'm going to put us back to the Kralum. Oh, where's Kralum's thing? There it is. So next is the volcano itself.
Did we come to a point on, like, I guess the defenses, how powerful they are, and like if there's any chance of withstanding them? Did we cover that point, I imagine?
Kralum's suspicion is that the defenses will mean to cripple and capture,
Oh, interesting.
because she delights in another's suffering, and she delights in gloating over someone over which she has power.
Hmm.
But if you teleport in and the defenses trigger, one of those defenses will certainly be, and he refers to it as a dimensional barrier. That is a careful magic term that you pick up, and that is a barrier that prevents portals and teleportation. So you can probably expect an onslaught of an attack, and then some form of magical prison to immobilize you,
Right.
which will also prevent your departure
Right.
through magical means as well as physical means. Um, so, um, obviously, she allowed things to fly overhead, trusting in the illusion, and that seems to have worked, with the exception of the eagles.
Yeah.
But now, based on everything he's seen, the eagles now fly over without even realizing they're flying through volcanic ash.
Yeah.
Um, so, um, he imagines he couldn't see a reason um, to put illusions throughout the mountain as a whole to conceal the fact of a mountain,
Right.
but rather simply to conceal the volcanic nature of it.
Right.
And then, but there still might be other defenses. What does he know about her? He would know a lot of the. She delved a great deal in our studies together in magic that would mislead and deceive.
Hmm.
So he expects that to be predominantly what's in the surrounding valleys, as opposed to, for instance, things that could twist nature into a dangerous and unholy barrier.
Right.
Poisonous barbs on vines, making natural creatures fiercer and more hostile.
Yeah.
Deadly poisonous mires. That did not seem to be of great interest to her, although she certainly now knows those spells as well.
Hmm.
Um, Now, but her arts were much more about literally confusing the mind, not just the eye. Spells of forgetfulness, spells that fog the mind and make one wander
Yeah.
for miles off course. So that is what he expects the slopes and base of the mountain
Right.
to be just wreathed in, you know. Um,
Layers upon layers of misdirection. Yeah.
so, is there any other category really? The patrols. He has felt demonic presences shortly after his capture increase around the mountain. And it certainly suggests then that there are demonic entities now under her employ.
Right.
So he sort of, so, you know, when there's a break, he says, you know, he said it to you and now he's saying it to everyone. The thought of sending this child haplessly to the rim of the volcano via teleport, I cannot imagine it working. And once her betrayal is known, she will pull the identities of all the rest of you from every particle of her brain, and she will hunt you down. And all hopes present in this room will be dashed. So, there you have it. So there are other questions and so on.
Yeah.
Play along these themes and so on. There is discussion that, you know, what's called the illusion paradox, and which is a term that seems very known to them. But essentially, what you glean from it is the irony is when you produce a very powerful illusion, while you can't see what's being hidden, you can now cast magic to search for illusions. And it might find it. Now, the more powerful the illusion, let me back up. There are arts that allow you to conceal the fact that there is an illusion spell active.
An illusion.
But, right, it conceals the magical presence of an illusion.
Right.
It conceals it from magical detection. But the more powerful the illusion, the more powerful the concealment required.
Right.
And at some point, what you get is the ability to generally detect magic. And with these layers of magic, the concealment sort of is working against itself.
Yeah.
So that is a possibility. But Crowlum basically laughs at them and calls them infants and says, you do not know the arts that I know, and now the arts that she knows.
Right.
There is discussion also of he has never seen any form of sort of patrol in the air, which suggests that she is trusting the illusion to everything.
Right.
for aerial defense. I mean, these powerful entities, well, as you know, even not being that powerful, you have the ability to fly, sort
Right.
of,
Right.
right? And clearly more powerful spell users and creatures under the sway of a demon would also, or could also.
Yeah.
And so that's discussed as a possible weakness.
Mm.
Find it and get there somehow by flight.
Mm.
Maybe not so low as to set off the defenses, but maybe high enough, but maybe low enough to be within range of spells that could interfere with what she's done.
Right.
And so, people make furious notes, and you're just looking around, like pages are just being sort of tossed to the floor. They,
Right.
blotting sand. They use the blotting sand on.
All right, to dry quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it gets blotted, and they blow it off, and they just cast it to the floor so they have room to write another. And so you can see some of the things that are done, and I mean it's just crazy. There are diagrams of the runes, and like commentary, like diagramming a sentence, right?
Yeah. That's nuts.
And I mean it's very interesting. Dosherik's home script, it must be, is a very curious series of sort of slashes. And it's clearly unlike anything you've seen, but it must be his native tongue. It's
right.
His native pen, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
I guess I should roll for any bright ideas within the group.
Yeah.
Oh man, it rolled off a 9. No big breakthroughs are suggested.
Yeah.
Why don't you roll? Of course, you're at a significant penalty.
This might also be a time for a miracle roll.
Well, you might as well take the free roll, and then.
Well, that's what I meant. If this doesn't work out, 11.
All right, so no, all of this is just filling your head. I mean, it's just what is going on, you know?
Yeah.
And so everything possesses its own logic. You find within Magic, like you can see this sort of play and counterplay, move and counter move within all the magical stuff. And innumerable metaphors occur to you, right? I mean, it's a powerful spell is hard to hide, just like a powerful army is hard to hide, or and so it's certainly been.
I have the wisdom to like understand it, but not the
right. You get the categories of conversation and the broad conclusions. The technical stuff you have to lead to them. Do you want to use a miracle roll in some regard?
I mean, yeah, like you rolled if any of them had a breakthrough, but I mean, with the miracle roll that, someone presents a suggestion and that then leads to, what we want, like some kind of breakthrough, something that was overlooked.
What if Burlow asks a question?
Yeah, as I was thinking, Burlow might be able to because he kind of,
again, as a metaphor, he asks some sort of question in a metaphorical form that, it sounds like an excellent question, and it sounds like an excellent time for some drum rolls. If people will be so kind to send us some drum rolls. For any new watcher who's watching this after the fact, then every session of Karandrin, you get one free miracle roll. It has to come up 100, a natural 100. And
that's a 1 in 100 chance.
This is that advanced math you were talking about earlier. And if it comes up 100, then I have to say the answer is yes. And although you do not get to curtail my choice of how it happens, you just say this happens, and I will figure out how it happens.
Okay.
So, man, no one is. This is the delay between stream and all this kind of stuff. You better keep your
Yeah.
dice warm, buddy. You better keep shaking those things. Chilled dice
Ah,
are the worst.
ah,
There's Obi-Wan. You're so excited about this miracle roll.
I am. I
So,
mean, this whole I feel like I'm at work, honestly. Like this long meeting, and it's like all this technical stuff. I'm just like, what is going on? Trying to follow along, but I'm definitely hope we have a breakthrough. All right, here it goes. 94. Woo!
wow.
Roll
Holy
help
crap.
apparently, but it wasn't enough.
So yeah, Burlow remains silent and as
He
confused
opens
as
his
you.
mouth, but he doesn't say anything.
That's right. Oh, that's stupid. I'm not gonna say that. Um, so, um, the meeting sort of winds down.
Yeah.
Um,
Anything else
there
I
are
want
sort of side discussions and so on. You can tell Adabir is just really tired. I mean, it's been a long meeting. He's got copious notes. Um, and he suggests that everyone just nothing's to be gained from continuing to meet. He orders everyone to go take a walk and relax and just sort of let things percolate, except for Tegrav. Tegrav, he has a task that he's going to send him to do. It has occurred to him, he says, that it might be possible to use the heat of the volcano as a power source for whatever they're going to do. And so he knows of a few rare items, but as his resources are largely tapped out now, which is news to you, it is time to turn to Miagral's connections and treasury to fund the next stage in this. So he's going to send Tegrov to the bursar and then to a and then hopefully on a task to go secure an item that has that ability. And so I mean, I think it's a great time for a break.
I was about to say the same thing. Yeah.
We really
Everyone take a coffee break, some donuts. We'll come back.
Man, I want coffee and donuts now. You're driving me crazy. I get Karen to run out and get me some. But so thanks everybody for sticking with us up to the break. We will be back in just a few minutes. Gonna go freshen up our drinks and so on, and bear with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Hello. Thanks for sticking with us through the break. If you're just joining us, we're just now leaving a meeting with Adabir, Crowlem, and all the apprentices, gleaning everything we can from Crowlem himself and the nature of his imprisonment. We now are just leaving the meeting. Unless you, Max, you need to say anything as you go.
I don't think so. I kind of thought, and I'm not sure what I can say. Yeah. Yeah, nothing comes to mind.
So, I mean, you probably need to process. So you may just, go downstairs and go to your favorite parlor.
Yeah.
And
one that smells funny, right?
Yep. And just kind of, process. What else is there to do?
Yeah, no, honestly, just dwell upon things, maybe have a drink. Just one. It's a little tiny, not a...
Well, let's give you another roll again with a huge...
Oh, there is something I wanted to say. Can I bring up the fact that there were 2 other spies that Crowlem is aware of? If there's a good time to do that, or...
Oh, hey, Carl. Thanks for joining the stream. Welcome.
Hello.
This is my good buddy, Max.
Welcome. Kevin does not have it. That I'm aware of, Kevin does not have an OnlyFans.
I don't have an OnlyFans.
You know what, Kevin? I'm telling you, that would be a great idea.
Yeah, you can mention before the meeting breaks up that Crowlem alluded to 2 other spies.
Right.
In the household here with Adabir, and I'll post. Let me post these captions again on Adabir. I love this caption function. I wish it was a little more organizable, as opposed to just a great list of captions. But it's really helpful, I think, for fantasy role playing, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And like Star Wars, all the weird names you'd have to keep track of. It's helpful. Adabir turns to Crowlem in his, Crowlem's little rat-like form and says, "Your lordship, you know of spies in the household." And he says, "Yes, there's 2 working today. There's always at least 2 in your household." When these new guards arrive from her lordship, I expect you'll find that most of those will be spies reporting your every word to Lady Meagraw. He names
Obi-Wan. I don't know if you're joking or not, but
what?
Obi-Wan says, "I don't think Kevin is an OnlyFans. What is that?"
Well, Obi-Wan is responsible for researching it and providing early footage.
Yes, 100 Karandrin points to whoever wants to assist with setting up Kevin's OnlyFans.
I do love awarding Karandrin points. It makes me laugh. I really enjoy it. I was looking for another captioned ad, but I can't remember which one it is. Oh, the Lady Meagraw one is what I was looking for. He tells you that he tells you their names. They're both chambermaids that are always about the place.
Yeah.
He says they give daily reports on your activities He tells you that there's also a guy who works the stables that is told to act slow and helpless, and he keeps track of who's riding out and things like that. And you're like, I thought that guy was mentally, undeveloped. I didn't know. Here we go. Here's a little caption for Lady Muggerall. So, so they get reports from them as well, and obviously, Kralum looks out after his own interest by occasionally killing some of these spies when he feels like they're going to reveal too much about him. Of course, that's sort of backfired now that you've got guards coming in after he killed the last spy. They have a brief discussion about identifying which one. The meeting breaks up. You go and retreat to a parlor in the quarters that have been provided to you. Why don't you? And so after you sit there for a couple of hours, why don't you give me a roll and we'll see if any other ideas occur to you.
44.
No. Kralum is thoroughly trapped in his prison until something can be done. Although you are hopeful that weakening the manacles that bind him, such that he could actually physically break them.
Yeah.
Is right now the best, is a possibility you feel. So the, it's almost noon by the time you sort of are done just processing.
Yeah.
What else do you have on your agenda today, Max, that you need to accomplish?
Nothing in the keep, really. Honestly, we can just kind of roll up the rest of the day. Not really. I have, a couple things, like I said, I definitely want to, if it's okay for me to leave the keep at a certain point, I would want to, go back and do some stuff of my own. But for now, I think it's good just to stay put in case needed by anyone.
Right. In case there are further developments.
Yeah.
A note comes to you early afternoon from delivered, by Burlow. It is requesting your presence in Adabir's quarters. Okay. Yeah, you go. Adabir is clearly just up from a nap. And you're like, yeah, I could have used one too after that meeting.
Yeah.
So he.
Where did Kralum go, by the way? Did he remain behind with Adabir?
That's a good question. I assume he would have left with you.
Well, sure, but yeah. I mean, is he just on me the whole time? I don't know if I feel comfortable.
Well, I mean, he would have probably scurried off after.
Scurried off. Okay, yeah, just making sure. Glossing over that.
That's. You see that Quinn has been given away
1,000 Karandrin points. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Good old. That'll help win the war for sure.
That's right. You see.
Which side though? I'm a little scared. It's going to be a detriment.
So he he tells you that so he's he sits, he offers you refreshment, and you're like, I'll take anything hard to drink. It's it's been a long day. It's been a lot of weighty questions. So he tells you that Tegriv is off on a mission to find something that might be able to convert the great heat of the volcano into magical power.
Right.
He said, there are some smaller items. Perhaps you've even come across them in magic shops and so on that have similar effect. And even there are spells that can do so. There are a few very rare items that I have sent Tegriv on a hopefully very long mission.
Yeah.
I misspoke during the meeting, as I think you know.
Yeah.
And have allowed Tegriv knowledge that if he attempts to grant Kralem's animal form greater power, it will immediately alert Verilag.
Right.
Giving Tegriv an opportunity to betray us to Verilag and get in Verilag's good graces. And that, I don't need to tell you, means the death of all of us except for yourself. So you must keep Kralem away from Tegriv.
Right.
And though I don't doubt his lordship understands that as well, it would bear mentioning that Tegriv cannot be trusted. The other point is, I hope that Tegriv's mission will take at least 3 days, perhaps a week. He will not be a part of casting protections on you any longer. If you choose to teleport to Kralem's prison.
Right.
That said, we need your answer by the end of today. Because it will take at least half a day to prepare.
Yeah. I mean, my answer
have to
before
try
was,
before Tegriv returns.
Right. Oh, interesting. Good point. Okay.
If you were to say yes now, preparations could begin now, including fortifying me with potions so I am strong enough to assist in the spells.
Yeah.
And then, possibly by tomorrow morning, maybe tomorrow afternoon, we could begin the incantations and then have you make the attempt. But since you cannot teleport from here, I'm going to have to arrange a wagon with a bed for me and our equipment. And then we're going to have to ride to the edge of town. All of this takes time.
Right. Now, Kevin, I want to ask you, my answer before was yes, but I mean, and I think it's still yes, but I don't know if the discussion has swayed me at all. Like Brise, has swayed.
That's true. It's so complex to try to convey that conversation.
Right. Like, do I just in my character, do they seem like someone it's like, I don't care, regardless, I'm going to do it. It seems kind of headstrong, but I don't know. I feel like I might. It's kind of hard to know, how to react.
I could definitely see that. I mean, this is an all or nothing deal. I mean, it really is this is possibly one of the biggest moments in your character's. I don't know, how many years have you been playing now?
Yeah, it's going on three and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I am seeing myself as a leader, and just to, that there are opinions that it might not work, but that might not change my opinion.
Well, the fact that it might not work, right, may not be relevant. this,
I see what you mean. Accepting the fact that if it doesn't work, I could just perish. Yeah. Kind of accepting
but
that.
that's also a win.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. Accepting that fact. Yeah.
Roll for me.
94.
So it occurs to you, if this fails, you cannot be captured.
Right. I have my
You cannot be captured.
right.
But you bet there's a potion or a poison.
Well, I have the amulet of self-destruction. I can't remember what it's called, but
That's what it's called. The Amulet of Self-Destruction. It's from Star Trek.
I don't know what it's called, but I've had it for all this time, and it's literally, if I use its power, it will theoretically eliminate me. I don't know how so, but it'll
Well, if you've got that, then you're gonna have to take that.
Yeah, that was given to me by the priests in Alamar a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, because you cannot be captured.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a little suicide pill with you.
Oh my God, this is really dark.
I mean, it is.
I love it. It's great, but wow, so morbid.
I mean, it's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It's
very heavy.
Yeah, because you don't. I mean, they're not really
a volcano too. It's hot and heavy. Jesus.
Not as much as the last episode where Brise lost her virginity.
Yeah.
You can find that on our DVD set.
Unabridged, unedited.
That's right.
Unrated.
We're gonna have like behind the scenes with us like talking to the camera by ourselves. Like, yeah, I don't know what Max was thinking then. Oh
my gosh.
So
behind the scenes, and it's like, I rolled a 30, but I just told him it was a 75.
Every time. Yeah, when he told me to roll for that fumble, I rolled 100, and I told him I rolled 150. Wait a minute. I may not get this lying.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So back to the original point. Like, I feel like my opinion would be unchanged. I still want to try. Now I think it's a matter of, am I ready to try? Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you roll? Let's see if anything in the meeting changed your mind.
Okay. 20.
No.
Yeah.
So yes, there are risks. Yes, the consequences are huge. But if it works, it's such a monumental step forward.
Yes.
That I mean, if they can find some terrific way to damage that rune that protects the manacles themselves, this could be over.
Right.
So
okay, well then, how do I feel about doing it basically tomorrow? Would be
I don't think you could possibly answer that until you talk to Aldrich.
Well, I already did talk to him, but I guess I didn't say when. Right.
I mean, until you talked to Aldrich, to say, look, the possibility is tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I really need your blessing for actually tomorrow.
Right.
So it seems like, I mean, roll say how you feel right now.
Okay. 70.
So you could definitely go tomorrow. That you feel is enough time. I don't know if I told you the story, but my dad, he found out he had all these enormous heart blockages.
Yeah, you did tell me this. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the cardiologist said, I need to get you to the hospital right now and do the surgery. And Dad said, no, I'm just mentally not ready. And the guy goes, I can't. He goes, and Dad says, I need the weekend to process this. And the doctor said, I can't guarantee you'll live the weekend. And Dad said, doesn't matter. I need the weekend to process this. And so,
and that's how Dad died. No.
no, sadly, Dad died from a genetic disorder that I have. So I hopefully will make it to episode 47, and
No.
and that'll be that.
We just start counting down the episodes. Then you'll have
That's right. So
okay, so I mean, I feel so. I was gonna also throw out there. I mean, there's even going back to my hometown. There's talking to Clarin, who I confided a lot in. I don't know if that's what I'm saying. If tomorrow is like, do I feel like I need to do all these things?
That's interesting.
Yeah, I as a human being would not even know, right? Like how I would feel if that, if my life was on the line tomorrow, what I would do,
Right.
I would call my parents for sure, but Brise's parents are passed away. So, there's like I said, there's Mortova. I know is like kind of probably the closest person to family I have. An old maid who kind of brought me into the religion that I follow.
Right.
Obviously Aldruff, but I can't really say I've made close, friends with too many other people besides maybe Clarin and Convergence.
It's weird. It goes all the way back. Like this moment sort of connects all the way back to the first conversation you had with another adventurer. Like day one.
I was thinking of that at the beginning of the session. Yeah. I met a halfling woman who was I was like literally day one of my adventuring. She was in tears. And, I said, "Oh, I'm a new adventurer." And she says, "Whatever you do, don't, stop now. Don't become an adventurer. You're going to regret it." And here I am.
It's crazy. 3 months later, you're facing enormously heavy consequences. But possibly saving thousands and thousands of lives.
Very interesting.
And not planned, all sandbox.
What is going on?
Quinn is doing a countdown.
We're not counting down Kevin's death. Okay.
Look, I am the only source of Karandrin points. Okay, only through your love of me.
It's not cryptocurrency. You can't just start one if you want it. It's got to be at the
exactly.
Kevin is the judicator of.
That's right.
Of value.
That's right. I'll show you my blockchain on onlyfans.com. Wait, I think that's cockchain. Anyway.
Don't worry. Time for another break, I think.
Another break.
Oh gosh. Yeah, so what do you think Brise would want to do? If she's comfortable with doing this tomorrow, what do we?
I don't know. I'll leave it to you to decide or to roll.
Let me look at my character sheet just 1 second in case there's anything that might lead me Definitely I'm not going to have a big party, that's for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to post our donate page and other stuff in the chat. And you can actually see Brise's character sheet and her personality and things like that. You can see all of that there. You can follow along in Max's notes for Brise's adventures. They don't go all the way back. He still has some typing to do. He promised he would have them all done by next stream. But you can find everything there. You can donate and help us improve the stream and get me medical care because I'm part of America's cycle of poverty. It's just fantastic. Love being here.
Keeps on not giving.
Keeps on beating me down. That's true. So, Um,
I just realized here I forgot I have a phobia of fire, and I'm going to teleport into a volcano.
I I don't think you will have ever really connected. You've probably never even seen a tapestry of a volcano.
Right, right.
It's
Yeah,
the name, them calling them fire mountains, so that makes you uneasy, but you're like, "Oh, it's like."
agreed. But I just picture Brees appearing, suddenly seeing lava and like feeling the heat.
Yes, true. You
Might
would have
require a
seen
self-physical.
it through Crowlam's eyes,
Right.
and it
Right.
makes you uneasy, but it's just so unlike fire that it's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, just the fact that I kind of usually not one for crowds and partying, and I like so when I'm soul searching, I kind of like to confide in myself or a close person. I think I would just want to spend time with Aldruff and like just making it pleasant,
Right.
not just
Memorable,
yeah.
and yeah.
I mean, I love horse riding, might just ride my horse too, that
Oh,
I've
yeah.
not ridden in a few days
Right.
here at the keep. Um, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I think, yeah, I don't really need to say say goodbye really to anybody besides just kind of staying here with Aldrich. So
So maybe send a note and say it's important we meet tonight, and then um, and then
Mhm.
telling him,
Quinn,
Quinn with the sex jokes, because we had one sexy episode. Now Quinn's hooked. Oh my
so
god.
yeah, oh gosh,
Um. So yeah, just tell him openly. I'm going to send a note to Aldrich, and as long as he can see me tonight and we can meet, then you're ready to go.
hmm
So he says, very well, and he said, and I will have preparations made as well. Um, and let's plan to leave after lunch tomorrow, and um, we will proceed.
yeah,
Wow, that means episode 43 is going to be really huge. That's really
yeah.
huge.
I don't know
Which
how.
which is a good segue to mentioning next week's episode will be on Thursday.
Mhm.
It's already posted up on that fact is already posted up on the on YouTube. We just have a conflict, and so we're going to go to Thursday for our next stream. So please join us, because unless really crazy shit goes down, which happens in Karandrin, but then this will be Brise attempting to teleport to Kralum's volcanic prison.
Mhm.
This is messed up.
You created this, you monster. Well, I played it, I guess. So I can't.
So yeah, and it's up on our Karandrin website too. We posted the delay for the Thursday stream. So if you forget, just remember to check in there, and hopefully then we can maybe try to make it to maybe just have you sort of processing throughout the day. Maybe you go riding on your horse and thinking things through. Although
Yeah.
there is thought of that magical attempt to breach the castle's defenses. That is to say, the troll that clearly was being controlled by someone else.
True. Yeah.
Um, um, you also want to just, if you go out, just be.
Oh,
I
that's what
I
you mean. Yeah,
think
I was kind
I
of
think
confused.
you would be loaded for bear in a sense. Like we're like, you just
Yeah.
can't have anything mess up today.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. I
Um,
see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Um,
and
I mean,
so
if I were to ride, I would probably just take the main road,
right,
down the mountain and then, just on the outskirts of town or something.
right, um, and yeah, just enjoy the day, and just have an action plan ready for stuff going wrong. You know,
Sure, yeah.
like even to the extent that if you've got potions, um, make sure you have a potion that you can throw and go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely would before I go out gear up on all my adventuring stuff. And
Right.
what I have listed there is basically for emergencies anyway.
Okay.
So we are
Um,
good.
Send the note, send word to the stables to bring your horse around.
Yeah.
Who cares? Who knows what? Because you've got to get this done.
Now I'm just gonna make fun of the stable boy, right? Who's supposed to be mentally challenged. I'm just gonna like make fun of it. It's like, if you can read, and he's like, that's really mean. It's like, oh, I got you. Thank you. So Harvey Birdman, I remember it's like, I think I saw him scratch his nose, and then it just shows like Harvey's trying to like get the kid in the wheelchair to like do stuff. He like keeps tickling his like with a feather, like while he's talking to him in front of the whole like jury.
Are you familiar with the movie Dirty Rotten Scoundrels?
I've heard of it.
That is the ultimate version of that.
Oh, really?
It is two competing con men.
That's right. I have heard of that movie. Yeah.
And you need to watch that. And wear an adult diaper because you're going to pee your pants at some of the stuff they do to each other. Oh, so good.
Ooh. Oh, you know what? Oh God, I just thought of something I could have asked Adabir. It's in my notes right here.
What's that?
So I mean that probably dimensional barrier will prevent teleports and portals. Would it prevent the Allertag crystal from working? And teleporting me to the Unmouth?
His answer is he would expect so.
Okay. I just thought because it's kind of differently, I guess it's kind of just like a magic item that would teleport you instead of
right.
me, but fair enough.
There's your ultimate escape from trouble. When you're going your ride, let the Allertag crystal transport, however it happens, to
yeah. I mean, if I just get like completely like stuck somewhere, surrounded, I can't teleport away.
Yeah, and then the so it'll take you right to the Unmouth, and then you'll just you're like, well, now it's gonna be some weeks getting me back, but that's fine, right?
Whoops.
So you send word. Oh, that's what I need to roll for. Aldrich sends word back relatively promptly saying he was just writing a note to ask about dining together tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah, your horse is ready. You're geared up. You're gonna ride and process.
Mm-hmm. Where if I run into like any like thing, and I'm just gonna be like, not now, like just keep riding. Like one of the like open world games, so that you're on your horse, you see some like monsters, just ride off the other direction. Like,
yeah,
I do not need to confront that right now.
Obi-Wan's now getting in the dirty mindset. She's saying dining with you tonight, or at least eating out.
Eating out, yes. Copious amounts. What?
Well, once again, if you want to email Max's mom, that email is
as follows.
Um, roll for me.
12.
Okay. So yeah, wow, you have a lovely, lovely time. Roll again for me.
All right. 20.
You know what? You know what this needs. It occurs to me what streaming role playing needs. It needs, and I'm sure there's a way to do this, and everyone's going to yell at me because I don't know. Um, uh,
Hello, Bunny Bakery. Welcome.
hey, Buddy Bakery, welcome back. Uh, that's really funny. What it needs is a chat room that you can't see, that the players can't see, because the game master could be posting stuff on there like, well, this is what he just missed,
Yeah.
or that would be really interesting.
Yeah. That is one of like the biggest like not problems, but it's just like I wish you could tell the players that information without it biasing them. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Because
Yeah, it's one of the more excruciating parts of game mastering when you
Right.
want to share and you can't.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a pretty uneventful ride.
That's good.
Unfortunately, now you have to roll to navigate back.
Well, okay.
And the town of Balabry is so freaking confusing because of all the streams and bridges.
There's a 96.
Roll again and add it.
Plus a 48. Holy moly.
That is brilliant. So,
just when I finally learned to navigate the town, I'm going to die.
You make it back. I mean, you really just spend the whole afternoon riding.
Nice.
So, oh Lord. Sorry. Jeez.
Bless you, I think.
Shook the whole world. I know. I always suppress my sneezes. My dad, he was such a loud sneezer. It was hilarious. And when we grew up on his farm, it was a long, narrow farm, and he could be up at the house, and we would be way back about halfway down the property. And we would hear him sneeze that far away, like a football field. And then we would shout at the top of our lungs, "Bless you," as a joke,
Yeah.
So you make it back, and you interesting. You feel, sort of with this knowledge of spies and so on, that Lady Miagraw keeping tabs on you and all this kind of stuff. Just sort of all the complexity of it. This recent discussion of it makes you feel watched even when you may not be.
Yeah. I know that feeling.
And so but you ride in and you're like, it doesn't matter. Soon a whole bunch of things are going to be decided, and where I'm going, they can't follow anyway. So you make it back. Aldrif has sent word that he'll be getting off soon, and he just recommends that you guys meet in your favorite parlor.
Yeah.
And you let it be known that you're going to do dinner up there.
Yeah.
When you return your horse, there's already signs that 2 wagons are being loaded for something. You have to assume that it's for you guys, but you don't know. But there is a coach also that's they're pulling the benches out of and turning them in such a way that it's going to be a bed, and you're like, that's got to be for Adabir.
Yeah.
So, you sort of go upstairs. Wow. Yeah, you're very scatterbrained. I mean, it's such a momentous
As usual. Yeah.
That's right. It's,
Yeah.
you have a
Honestly,
hard time turning your thoughts to anything.
Yeah.
So you kind of find you'll sit in a parlor for a while. You may snack on something or whatever, and then you get restless and you get up and so on.
Yeah.
At one point, you find yourself in a room with Doshrik as he's picking up a snack. And when he finds a moment where you're alone, he comes to you and says, I too mistrust Tegriv.
Aside, how can you remind me how Doshrik looks again? You said he's bird-like, right? Is he kind of like more like
Yes, I mean, so the story is, this was an accident caused by his magical experimentation.
Right.
But it's kind of known among you guys that he is that he's really from another world. He's 8 feet high, extremely high, scrawny, predominantly red feathered and various in various tones of red. His head down to his neck, those are sort of more of a strawberry kind of red. His hands are fully wings, but they have 3 large feather-colored fingers that can grasp and so on, and are very agile.
Okay. Yeah. I think you might have mentioned that before, but then I kind of forgot over time.
No, it's been a while since you've really had a lengthy interaction with him, and it's good, of course, for the people who also haven't heard word of him for a while. So
I look up at him, and then
right,
and man, that's tough. Like going through doors and stuff. Jeez.
Yeah.
For like goblin, it's probably shorter.
I met a 6'10" redheaded Jew one time, and he would duck coming through doors.
Yeah.
But he was one of the most interesting, and he had this enormously deep voice. I was just an interesting dude. It was just interesting.
Yeah.
So, but it was, he would just do a little duck, and you're like, good heavens.
Yeah. So I mean, he tells me that he distrusts Tegriv.
Right.
I mean, how much do I want to? Oh yeah, I'll just let him keep talking if he has more to say.
Why don't you roll for me?
Okay. 99. Okay. I attack him.
This is a man, a creature, a being of deep integrity. And a person of deep conviction. And he tells you that he would not have you harmed, and he's glad that Tegriv will not be involved in any more than is absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
He has had a thought regarding the prison. But he wanted to run it by you because you might be jeopardized by it. You are, of all of us, you are the one who's the most at risk. And though Adabir is my master, I have an obligation to you. And he tells you that there are reports in ancient texts of creatures that swim within the molten fires of a fire volcano.
Mm.
And if we could find the ancient arts that allowed us to summon one, perhaps we could summon one to break the chains or melt them.
Okay.
Barring that, even if they could mar in some way the runes that strengthen the manacles,
Right.
then Lord Kralum could free himself.
Right.
But failure, just as failure with your enterprise, might draw a tremendous amount of attention.
Yeah.
And it might cause her to deepen the defenses already stacked against us.
Right.
So, only with your permission will he mention it to Adabir.
So if I understand, he's saying that once we do have this this way of getting to the volcano, this would be the next step of.
Well, whenever and however we reach the volcano, yes, this would be a next step.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure. Yeah. That's interesting because probably another thing I forgot to bring up in the meeting is the kind of centipede-like creatures that also eat metal, and they could also do a similar function, right?
Yes, if you can get them there,
right? And
volcano.
That's one of the problems. Yeah,
when they're, I mean, who knows? They're probably the weight of what, 2 elephants? I mean, they're big. I mean, so
yeah. So I mean, I will. Yeah, I mean, I just tell him that any idea is good for discussion. I think, and I'm glad you are thinking of things. So yeah, feel free to mention it. And why don't I'll just bring up that as well, like the creatures. I can never remember their name. I've heard of other creatures from the underground realm called the Unmouth who eat metal. And long back, I thought of a plan of trying to summon one to do that exact thing. But I'm not sure how much more achievable that is, considering that they're very large and might not survive in the volcano.
He is aware of the Unmouth. And he knows the creature you're speaking of.
They're called the Aberrine. ABBRY. I don't know. I know it's ABBRY something, but I don't have it in my notes. Aberrine, something like that. Yeah, those creatures.
He says, getting them to the volcano would be a challenge. And they are not creatures that are excited by risk.
Yeah. But I interject. It's like, but you spoke of summoning something. And I guess that's where my magical knowledge comes to a halt. Is it possible to transport such a creature magically there?
I don't know the details of such enchantments when it comes to such a great creature.
I see.
Some summoning spells for lesser creatures, a bird, a dog, a fox, can have them instantly appear from some natural habitat. Oh my lord. But for here, I don't know if they would instantly appear within the lava which might be read as a form of teleport, or if it would call to them and they would be drawn irresistibly to the fire mountain in question.
Right. Just summoning would work. Mystery.
Quinn
All the birds
is doing bird is the word. And now you have Quinn, you have to go find the Family Guy clips where they feature that song.
I was going to say, if you're ever in Minecraft, here's a fun thing to do: just summon all entities. Just type that in and see what happens. It's what you think. All this talk of summoning things has me bring back some trauma.
Well, if you do it in Karandrin, even more happens.
Yeah. That's what my next day is. Why don't we just summon everything to the mountain? Certainly, something has to happen.
Right.
So okay. I mean, I appreciate the discussion.
Well, he does this curious thing where he sort of stoops and he touches his head to the top of your head, and then he rises back, and he tells you, to be careful around Tegrov. And he's going to go run the idea by Adabir, and he takes off. You kill a few more hours.
Sorry.
You find yourself, waiting in the parlor. And I think maybe what we should do is just have Aldrich enter, and then we'll pick up there next time, and we'll do dinner, sleep.
I was going to say, I think it'd be good to do the teleport next session, like toward the end. So whatever happens, it'll be kind of like a conclusive note,
Yeah, sort of a major bookend, a major milestone in Brise's tale, certainly.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up here.
Okay.
For episode 42, episode 43, just another reminder, will be next Thursday, not Wednesday, due to a conflict. You can find that reminder also on YouTube and on our website, Karandrin.com. As always, guys, just thanks so much for hanging out with us. Thanks for watching and hanging out in chat rooms. Here's my expanded view that always happens when I switch to.
It's time for Kevin's OnlyFans.
That's right. That's it. As always, come check us out on www.karandrin.com, as well as hop to our donor page and take a look. You can find all of this in the description. Max has got a YouTube channel where he discusses the role of music and original soundtracks in video games. Thanks always to Elliot Dunovitz for her terrific character art for Brise. You can find more of her work and commission her to do things for you. Not Brise-like things, but actual artwork. You can find Elliot's stuff at artstation.com/Tortolua. And I wrote a book that you can find on Amazon, A Shore Too Far. I'm pretty tickled about. So take a look at that if you're interested. Max, why don't you say goodbye to these lovely people?
Something funny I noticed just really quick is whenever you switch to that view and you get huge, I'm glad it's not me because my bed is always a mess.
That's hilarious.
Oh God, I just clicked on the wrong button. But anyway, thanks everybody for coming out. Thanks for being really active in the chat. Made it really fun for us. And no, Quinn, there is no Rule 30 for art for Brise yet. Have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you next Thursday for a very interesting episode.
That's right. Thank you, guys. And like I said, next Thursday, and we'll see you then. Thanks as always. We'll see you next time.